Good morning to you. It is 8 o'clock on a Thursday. Glad you're with us to start the day, one day closer to the weekend.
Yay.
And hey, today and tomorrow, the sun is going to be shining. What better way to ease into the weekend full of rain than with 2 days of sunshine?
Probably a day off. I don't know.
Yep.
That might do it.
That'll work for me.
Ed's off tomorrow. He's taking his birthday off.
Yeah. Anybody else do that? I just kind of feel like I don't ever really want to work on my birthday again.
I was going to say celebrate you. You don't feel like you celebrate you enough?
I feel like I do a lot of
You do? You said it. It's very dumb.
I do a lot of celebrating.
Oh.
But look, I just feel like if there's one day out of the entire year that you can say, you know what, I'm doing this for me, it is your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It is indeed a fact. I
you,
just
Lorianne.
got back from vacation.
Thank you, Lorianne. I got a message from Jeff Baker. Do you know what it said? That if you were taking off Friday, I should take off Monday because it's like 80 and sunny.
Go for it.
Ed's like real quick putting in a request for Monday. I actually need Monday off too.
Right. Oh my gosh. Busy weekend partying. No.
Oh.
So I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. But probably just take it easy. Maybe go to the library. I need a new book. I don't know. Listen, turning 37 is really not that big of a deal, but turning 40 will be.
Shut up.
Do you see what Jeff Baker's saying? Pretty privilege.
Oh,
Howard. Please, Howard,
you are
stop it.
What did Howard say?
Howard says, you deserve time off, Katie. You've been carrying the whole load for the last couple of weeks.
My shoulders are tired from carrying this team.
I
That
was
goes
off
for
for a
Minkowski
week.
too. I hope he's listening.
1 week, 5 days, 6 days actually, and a Monday. It's okay.
And then tomorrow.
I
love it.
But then I don't have any more time off for a long time. So give me a break.
Don't expect it.
And it's my birthday. Leave me alone.
I said, we put some nice pictures in at the end of the show. I go, don't expect a cake.
It's okay.
Because you're not here on your birthday.
Do you know what?
What?
The reality is I don't need a cake because I have done enough eating for the both of us over the last 7 days.
Please don't bring me into this. I will eat as much as I want. Then we're talking about all these pictures.
Okay, we actually found out that the picture on the bottom right, we were talking about this earlier.
It's like, oh, that's 2 years old. I go, look at that picture. It's hard to see there, but like I noticed some things that made me realize the picture's older than 2 years old.
Okay, so I realized, okay, wow, that's actually a hard background. That couldn't have been within the last 5 or 6 years. That was 2018, you said.
2018, yeah. I was going more by the length of my hair and the shape of
my body.
Mine. I just got married, or I was getting married.
Oh my God, 2018 feels like yesterday, doesn't it?
Actually, that picture in the middle was from my wedding. That was you holding court at my wedding.
Lauren, hi, Lauren. You know, it's going to be a good day tomorrow. I feel it. Maybe I'll go get a massage.
Oh, yeah, you should.
But I haven't arranged for one yet, and I doubt that I'm going to be able to get in. We'll see. Time will tell. What do you do for your birthday?
I like to do a massage for my birthday. Bridget and I always do them together. My girlfriend and I have like birthdays 10 days apart, so we try to always do that. It's our favorite thing to do. It's really relaxing, you know?
Howard says, wait till you hit 64. It's all downhill from there. I don't believe that.
That Woodlawn spa is real nice.
Speaking of spas.
Okay. Let's... All right. We're going to talk about a news story unrelated to birthdays and spas and what we were talking about.
It was a happy birthday for some people. We're going to be talking about this one here because in Lockport, there was this FBI raid and the FBI arrested a woman.
Telling 7 News.
And basically say that she was, or her employees were, she was running this spa according to a new court complaint that was just filed. And that the women who are working in this spa were actually providing sexual services for cash. So there were all of these postings on different websites that I found overnight in the complaint. I mean, I wasn't going searching for these websites. Let me be clear.
Yeah, this is all in what the FBI, like what they did, their background, I guess.
Every time somebody is charged with a federal crime, there's a criminal complaint that's filed. And I found that complaint overnight. And the one thing they said was that, there were posts on all of these different like back page websites, basically alluding to sex for cash.
Right.
This woman apparently, though, was arrested for prostitution. This Linian Song woman who was running the show was arrested for prostitution years ago in the Midwest. And now she's, again, according to the complaint, running this spa that is offering anything
Right.
but massages.
So this is violations of interstate and foreign travel or transportation in aid of racketeering enterprises. This is like the official charge, what they're basing this off of. So, a lot more has to come out of this. We have to see where all of this goes. But like, what you think about a lot of the time is these people who are allegedly performing these, are like, it's
say it,
no,
Katie.
I mean, it's really sad. It's a sad situation because
Yes.
a lot of the times they're, people are coming here. You don't see. I don't want to say anything because we don't actually know enough about this.
You're alluding to human trafficking.
Exactly.
Okay,
I'm
so
alluding to the fact that these people may not have been wanting to do it. I don't know. We don't know. We gotta,
Well, the guy who filed the criminal complaint is an FBI agent
Right.
and is on the human trafficking task force. So, I mean, while
So
you
that's
might
the
not
thing.
be
Right.
far off,
Yeah.
there are some questions about how these people are actually getting here and what their intentions are, because as we know now, according to the criminal complaint, this woman was seen actually going to the airport and picking up a number of women, bringing them
Right.
back to this Lockport spa, and then they were actually seen walking in with luggage. So,
right. So there's a lot to this kind of stuff, and they're basically trying to protect people when they do these
Right.
kinds of raids. That's the concept behind it. It's like a cliche topic or whatever you know what I mean. But at the same time, like, these are people who may have been forced to do something they didn't want to do. So.
but what about the people who are engaging them? Howard wants to know. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing actually when I was going through this morning, because the complaint says that back in October, some of the people who were seen leaving the spa were actually pulled over by Niagara County Sheriff's Office deputies. And, I guess when they were asked what was going on, they were telling the deputies that they had just come from this place
Right.
and that they, in fact, exchanged cash for sex.
Right.
What that actually means is unclear. Yes, Catherine, they were all adults. Cindy says it's terrible.
But even if they're adults, that doesn't mean people weren't
Right.
forced into doing something they didn't want to do.
Well,
So.
and here's the other thing too. It kind of seems like they came here illegally through Mexico. So there's a lot of layers here that are, obviously worth unpacking.
Thank you, Lauren. I 100% noticed that when I was traveling this year too. There are so many more signs about human trafficking.
Did you notice that in Orlando?
I did.
Me too.
And the signs that you can make to, like, a hand sign that you can make to indicate to an officer that you saw that you are being trafficked or that you think human trafficking is happening. You don't have to say anything. There's a hand signal they give you. And if you go into like a bathroom stall, you can literally see it on a sign. And it indicates how you can do that and get their attention without even saying a word.
Paul wondering where on Transit Road this was. Let me find that for you, because I don't have the address off the top of my head, but I can find it real quick. It was at the New Elegant Shiatsu Spa, and it looks like it is located at...
This says 5714.
There you go.
So hold on, let's see where that is.
South Transit Road in Lockport.
Let's see, near the Walmart. Next to the Home Depot, so across the street from the Walmart is where this address has.
They actually mentioned that Home Depot in particular because I guess Song, according to the complaint, this Linian Song, dropped a couple bags of garbage in while they were watching her. And when you drop garbage, it's like public domain, so the cops can go and get that. They went through the trash and found a check that she had written out and ripped up, discarded with the new Shiatsu Spa on it, and it was written out to pay rent for whatever month they were in. Interesting, right? Jeanette says, so was it sex or is it kind of like a strip club? People don't pay for sex-like actions a lot. I'm sure there are more stores out there. So this was not a strip club. This was, according to the complaint,
A massage parlor.
a massage parlor. And at the end, this woman
Mhm.
performed a sex act for cash. Again, according to the complaint. Lots of human trafficking, she says, in Florida, Connie.
Yeah, it's just like it's a sad just speaking generally, that's a horrible scenario. So
Yeah.
we don't know, again, charges filed. Got to wait and see what happens here.
She's due back in court, by the way, tomorrow. She's being locked up, Linian Song. She wanted to be let out. The government says no way. And tomorrow there's going to be a detention hearing, and that will determine whether she stays or goes. So we'll stay on top of that for you.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about this air travel thing, because I actually think this is something that's going to impact a lot of people. Have you guys seen that there are some new rules when it comes to air travel, and it really could impact your summer travels? First off, let me just ask, is there anybody out there who, I know this happened to me and I know it's happened to you too. You know how you book a flight and then they like totally change your plans?
Mhm.
For example, within the past year, Paul and I booked a flight. We had a nonstop to Florida. Well, then, a couple weeks before the flight, I get an email. Actually, your nonstop has been changed to 2 flights. So now you have a layover. Also, we have to stop at another airport. You're not getting off then. I forget what they call that when you make another stop, but you don't get off. It's not really a layover because they just get some people on. But we literally stopped then on the way home once to let more people on the plane, then went, switched planes, then got home. So from a nonstop to the longest travel day ever.
Well, and so, like I said this morning, you're probably paying more for that flight too because you had booked it as a nonstop.
Right.
So now a lot of that money will be returned to you if the airlines make those changes. And this is all a result of some DOT regulations that were just instituted. They're not going into effect right away, but this is all to make sure that you are protected as opposed to the airlines being able to have whatever say they want and do, whatever they choose to do that benefits them.
So I have to say, weren't you kind of feeling a little bit, remember, it wasn't that long ago that you were booking a flight and I was like, well, just wait, because that nonsense, I can't remember when it was.
Was it when I was going to Iowa and got screwed?
No, it wasn't that time, but I do remember that time. That was not the airline's fault though.
It was okay. I booked through a third party, and we'll never, ever, ever, ever do that again.
But different story. But that was not good.
Right.
That was like one of the worst travel stories I've ever heard. That being said, you were booking. Maybe you remember booking for this, and this last vacation. I remember saying like, just get ready because your nonstop could all of a sudden turn to 4 stops because it just seemed like airlines were kind of doing like whatever they wanted. I felt like.
Howard says, I think the new rules are great protection for us consumers.
Right.
Connie says, Katie, you could have contacted the airline to get a different flight altogether. I didn't know that you could do that.
Well, you could, except basically what happened was they canceled the flight that I wanted and then it didn't exist anymore. So like, yeah, sure, I could, except I didn't want any of those flights. That's why I picked the one that I wanted.
You know who was just complaining about that?
Everybody.
Josh.
Yeah. And I was telling him the same thing. Josh Nichols. Yeah, he was. So these new federal rules say travelers deserve cash refunds when they're really inconvenienced. Like if your flight's canceled, you're entitled to an automatic cash refund. If the plane is running X amount of hours late, if you have like a certain, I think it was 3 hours delay, refund. If you pay for the Wi-Fi and it's not working, refund.
How about when your bags are delayed or bags are lost? That also is so important because you could be without for so long.
I think accountability here is really important.
Well, and because the airlines have not necessarily been held accountable.
Agreed. I truly feel like that as an air traveler. Like, it's not like I go all that often, but when you only have a certain amount of vacation days, you are picking your flights and doing what you can based on like what works for you. And if you book it 6 months out, it is so unfair to change that on somebody 4 weeks away from their trip.
Well, right. And if you're going for the first flight out and then they change you to a flight in the middle of the day, you obviously pick the first flight out for a reason as opposed to wasting your day traveling.
So accountability, that's what I think.
Peter says, I used to work in hotels, and when people book through third party, I cringe. So I feel Ed's pain. I think I told you this story about what exactly happened. But it turns out that this third party never actually booked my airfare, my travel on the airline. And despite having a record number and despite having a confirmation number, they never actually charged my card and never actually booked my flight.
So he had like a credit So he was like, "Oh, I'm going to book it through Orbitz, and this is going to be great." Is it what? Oh,
It was a third party.
Travelocity, Exterior,
Whatever.
whoever this third party, I can't remember. And like, but you know what I'm saying? One of those third party travel sites. Like you didn't go directly to American Air,
Right.
Whoever. You went to a third party one. So he goes to book it through this, and what ends up happening is they never actually booked him a ticket.
So I get to the airport.
So despite the fact that you had a number, you're like, I'm good to go. This is going to be great.
Correct.
Oh my God. He called me on a Friday night and you were supposed to like be in Iowa.
Literally.
And I'm like, why is he calling me? And I was out having a cocktail with my friends in our backyard. And I'm like, oh guys, hold on. Ed was out. And like my friends all know why. I'm like, hold on, Ed's calling me. And he's like, you're not going to believe where I am. I'm coming back from Rochester. He ended up trying to get a plane in Rochester. It was a nightmare.
It was a
And
nightmare.
you never made it to your friend's wedding, which is
Correct.
really sad.
I was really bummed about it too.
So was she, I'm sure.
Cheryl says, if you book a service, you expect that service. Airline plans are often dependent on something else, getting a ship, connecting flight, work meetings. If you have to cancel your flight, you're probably not getting something that lines up with your original plan, and you'll probably have to pay more.
Yes.
And you're right. I mean, that's a hassle. Like you always, when you're going on a cruise, for instance, you always wind up going the day before because you know you're going to run into some sort of problem, and then you'll have to work it out. You don't want to miss the boat. Sarah, though, feeling my pain here.
I was going to
sorry,
say, Jeff Baker, they were left at the gate for a connecting flight, and the plane didn't leave for another 20 minutes. Plus, they put them in a hotel, and we wouldn't even lay on the bed. Ugh. Yeah.
Sarah says, we stopped booking third-party airlines, too. It's difficult to change anything and not super trustworthy.
And I had honestly booked through third parties often. But then when I heard your story, I was like, I think I'm going to stop doing that now because I was just so worked up over it.
I will never do it again.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
I had really good experiences, but like you feel comfortable when you've got that flight number and that confirmation number. And then when it turns out it actually means nothing.
Let me tell you, I raised holy hell with this third-party company and the airlines itself because not only did I not have that flight, my bags were lost.
Right.
And it turned into a complete nightmare. So I had to buy new stuff. They refunded all of that. I had to drive between Rochester and Buffalo. They refunded my Uber. I mean, but like getting somebody on the phone is also damn near impossible.
Oh, and you know what? Here's the thing. You got refunded because squeaky wheel. You have got to complain.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants to be that person, but
we do.
I'll do it. And I've done it. I got double.
Go ahead.
I got double billed one time for something, but we're not talking this was a $4 bill. We're talking this was hundreds of dollars, and it was such a fight for like 10 months. Because you're dealing with these companies, you're going back and forth, and like if you know that you're right, you got to keep fighting the good fight.
Right. Exactly.
Paul goes to me, I would have paid for that long ago just to be done with all of this, and I'm like, well, this is why
You're the boss.
I'm in charge.
Jeanette says, I'm afraid they'll stop letting us take on carry-ons. We don't check luggage, makes it easier, but sometimes pay for first class or the extra space ticket so we know we'll have the overhead space.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have read articles that says that it's something that airlines are looking into. And, you know, baggage size has also changed, but the overhead space hasn't. So that might create a little bit of a problem as well. It's an interesting time to be a consumer, right? Everything is more expensive. Everything benefits the business, but what do we get as consumers? We get left holding the bag.
Wait, Peter, I have a question. What you're asking about AAA is my third. What does that mean? I want to know what that means because I always feel like when you're working with AAA, you've got somebody who like
They're in your corner.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know what he is like having.
Oh my God, Jeff Baker. Last month on the way to Florida, I booked row 31, got on the plane, and there were 28 rows. Like, how does that happen?
Right.
Beast mode.
So I had a time, this is years ago now. I mean, we're talking, it's probably been like 7 or 8 years. Do you remember? It was, I couldn't check in. You know, they always want you to check in ahead of time. I couldn't get through, couldn't check in ahead of time. It said, just see a gate agent when you get there. And I'm like, all right, what are you going to do? You know, it wasn't going through. It's not working. So I go to the gate agent when I get there, and they're like, flight's overbooked, which I hate. Why do you overbook flights? You have, let's say,
200 seats on the plane.
Book 200 people. Ridiculous. So flight's overbooked. And this was spring break week. And I was meeting my friend down in Florida, and my family was down in Florida. So like, I mean, I have 6 days, right? That's my vacation. Like, here we go. And there was me and like 7 other people. And we were all overbooked. And so, of course, I started
Raising hell.
talking to I wasn't being rude, but I was like, you guys, like, how is this a possibility? Why are we doing this in whatever year this was? And so I ended up getting a flight. I was supposed to go, I think, to Orlando. I ended up getting a flight to Fort Lauderdale. And this guy like pulled me aside, the gate guy. And he's like, listen, this flight is leaving in 15 minutes. Can you get there? And I'm like, I'm done.
Yes.
He goes, can you get someone in Florida to pick you up in Fort Lauderdale instead? And it's not that far. I'm like, yes. My parents had to change all their plans though and come pick me up. My suitcase went to Orlando. My friend who was flying there got it. But it was such an experience. And I'm like, why do we overbook?
Well, remember when like flying used to be a luxury, period. Like it didn't matter where you were sitting, it was just a luxury
Right.
to fly. It's kind of like we've forgotten the basics of how we treat people. Though Barbara says, remember to be nice and patient with ticket counter agents. They're not the reason for airline
And that's the thing.
issues.
Like, I am not a rude person, but I will be direct when you have to be. Because when somebody's just giving you a line, you're like, okay, no, we need a solution, not a line.
Megan, though, funny. I want a job at an airline so I can be horrible at my job and still get paid. Bob says they wait till you're at the airport hoping there will be enough no-shows.
Right. But why? I mean, I who doesn't show up for their flight? That has to happen not very often. Who has the like ability to be like, I'll just book this and maybe I just won't go?
I don't know. Well, bottom line here is that this is something that's going to protect all of us, which I think is probably a long time in the making. And, you know, frankly, a win coming from the federal government, from whomever it is, for us. I mean, look, if we benefit from this, then there's you know, a reason to be happy about all of this. Anyway, Howard says people used to dress up when flying years ago. You could have a nice drink and a little smoke.
Howard,
it was glamorous.
It's for the best that we got rid of some of those things. Things on airplanes can be flammable. So
Jeff Baker says win-win for us. Jeff Baker said he was raised in hell. He said beast mode came out. I bet you he was cracking skulls instead of cracking apples.
Do you have an apple? Have you seen what I can do with this?
Linda says, I just flew through Toronto and Air Canada has their act together. Wonderful experience.
Oh, Shirley had an overbooked flight coming through Detroit, offered room overnight, food vouchers, and a flight home the next day in first class plus $300 in vouchers.
That works for me.
That's fine if people have a little flexibility, but like, I just don't feel like many of us who are going on vacation have that flexibility anymore.
I want to just address Danielle's comment here. She's talking about the bipolar weather. Hello, no kidding. Can we address this for 2 seconds? 52 degrees today, 79 on Monday. It's going to be 80 degrees. We're going up almost 30 degrees between Thursday and Monday. That is a huge swing.
It's annoying because you know what? It's going to be like one day that you wish you had your air conditioner on. If it's 80 something degrees and it's sunny, it's going to get hot.
I mean, do you no, you don't have central air, do you?
No, we don't. We have room air conditioners.
What are you doing?
Don't worry about it. You can still talk. I'm just walking across the room. What?
Why are we being rude?
Rude? I don't, yeah, weird.
Adam says he cannot wait for the weather. Katie.
I can't take responsibility for this. You can thank Aaron for this and John.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, and a coffee. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Ed.
Wow. To what do I owe this honor? Is it because
you were born
usually so nice to everyone?
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Our boss, Aaron Mason here, says they could only fit Ed on the cake and not another phrase. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday, Ed.
And by what he means is doll.
Edward, I think. I think he said they had to shorten the name to just Ed. Do you want one of these little balloons real quick?
No, do you actually eat those?
I think so. I think they're chocolate. We'll give it a shot. Let's find out if they're edible or not.
Here, give me.
The blue one? No, I think they're chocolate.
I think they're fondant, right?
I think they're white chocolate.
Yeah. Gross.
Sorry. And you're welcome.
I hate white chocolate. Whoops. Have a great day, everyone.
Aaron.